In this episode, I'll be reflecting. I'll be reflecting on my progress so far as a non-farmer. I'm currently kind of navigating, I'd say, the late early game. I'll share what I've built with you all. I'll discuss what comes next. I'll give you a little tour of the things that I've built and the structures that I have. And so the goal here is makes it easy for anyone to kind of jump in and follow my journey from this point on. Or to give you an update if you've missed a few episodes and want to get up to speed. We are on the map called Saxlingham, which is based on an area of Norfolk in the east of England, which happens to be about 5 miles from where I live IRL. My house is up this road about 5 miles. So that was the attraction of this map, the familiarity and kind of the localization of it. So that's been a lot of fun. The map is fantastic. This is my first time playing Farming Simulator, and this is my first map. So to be fair, I have nothing to compare it against, but I've had a thoroughly good time driving around and enjoying the graphics and the scenery and the sound. So I absolutely love the map. So yeah, no complaints on Saxlingham itself. As I mentioned, I am a new farmer, so I have spent lots of time in the menus and trying to figure out what's compatible with what and what this implement does and what that vehicle can do. It has been a really rather steep learning curve, but that's kind of part of the fun, right? And I guess to a certain extent you'd have that in any new game that you picked up. It's just compounded for me because like I say, I know nothing about farming. The difference between a plow and a cultivator, or a sprayer for fertilizer versus herbicide. I mean, all that sort of stuff I've had to learn. Even field rotations and crops and everything else. I have no idea. I know a little bit more now, but I'm still figuring things out. So progress has naturally been slower than one would expect if you knew about farming, and I think that's to be expected. So anyway, I landed on this map of Saxlingham. My goal for this map is to automate everything. So I don't want to do any manual farming. And I appreciate some people play this game in a very realistic way. They drive every vehicle and they take their time actually kind of mowing fields or preparing fields or doing whatever they need to do. And I think that's fantastic. It's just not the sort of way I want to play it. I approach this game as a systems and automation and logistical game where I want to be able to sit on some sort of view like this or some sort of management screen and actually see things happening and make things more efficient and more optimized. That's kind of the way I was taking it. So my goal for this map is to basically own everything and automate everything. So it's a long goal. It's going to take me some time, but we are getting there and it's been fun. So yeah, so I arrived in Saxlingham. I had no idea about farming, and I had no idea about how to play Farming Simulator. And after a very short amount of time, I decided I needed to buy some land, and I realized that land was very expensive, and I couldn't afford anything. So I did what any normal person does, and I basically bought this lay-by. And so this was my very first thing that I bought, this random lay-by. And I lived like a traveling person for a long time on this lay-by, which was kind of fun. At one point, I built a greenhouse and I tried to make some lettuce, but that made very little money. And so I kind of ditched that idea. And so now this lay-by, obviously I still own, and I now use this lay-by as a bit of a depot. So I have fuel there, I have herbicide there, I have seeds here, and I have fertilizer here. And so I use this as a staging point. So when I pick up a contract and it needs one of these things, I send it down to here to pick up that thing and then go off on its way. When it's finished a contract and I have spare, I bring it back to here to store any surplus fertilizer, seeds, herbicide, etc. So that was the plan of this. It was very good. I then learned that manually driving things everywhere was pretty time consuming. So I then found out about the mod called Auto Drive, which is what you can see I've just enabled. So Auto Drive is a mod which, as the title suggests, enables a vehicle to automatically drive between places. To do that, I set up this mesh system across the entire map, which took a good long time, and there's a whole episode on me doing that. But basically what I have now is I have the whole map meshed with every field and most fields with waypoints for harvesting, which I'll talk about at some point. So that means that from anywhere on the map, any vehicle can get to anywhere else on the map fully automatically. And that did take a tremendously long time. So if I load this view, all of these blue lines and the green lines down every road is auto route pathing. And so you can see I've got auto routes between every major location, and then within most fields there's routes as well. We do have a one-way system. These central roads are like little country lanes, so you can't have traffic going opposite directions because they will just crash all the time. So I had to build a little one-way system, so cars can only go eastbound down that road, westbound down this road, and eastbound down this road, and then the up and down roads go either north or southbound. The main north and south roads on this left and right edge, they're both two-way, so these are the main kind of trunk roads. So yeah, so we have the auto drive system set up. So that's great. So now whenever I have a contract or I need to send a vehicle somewhere, I literally have everything in the folder system down here. And I say, hey, go to field X, or I say, go to the water location, or go to this sale point, or whatever that looks like. So auto drive is set up, and that was a huge piece of the automation puzzle. And that was quite a fun journey. And obviously, I've done lots of automation and meshing and auto pathing in other games, so that wasn't completely alien to me. I was familiar with how to use a tool like that and set it up. And I must say the people who created this mod have done a very good job. This is one of the best auto pathing and meshing and waypoint systems I've used, and it's been a joy to set up, and now it's set up, I have no complaints at all about how it works. So it's been good fun. So that was my life for a little while. I lived in that lay-by, and I was doing lots and lots of contracts. I am on hard mode, so things do take a little bit longer to make money. But I soon began to realize that I wanted more land. I wanted to be able to work for myself rather than for the other NPCs in the map. So when I looked at the map, I started to think about, okay, where would be a good place for a base, a main operations base? I started off initially looking at these fields up here because they were quite cheap, but I decided that having a main logistics base on the far edge of the map would be inefficient. I wanted to be somewhere in the middle, and that's actually where I settled. My first purchase was actually field 30, and so I lived for a while on field 30. That was a grass field, and I did some silage work, and I built a bunker. And that's where I'll take you now. So that was the natural expansion, right? I didn't know anything about crops. I didn't know anything about harvesting. I didn't know about potatoes or wheat or sunflowers or anything like that. So I was a bit nervous about buying a complicated field, let's say, a field that needed lots of work like plowing and cultivating and fertilizing and all that sort of stuff. That scared me. So my first foray into field ownership was to buy field 30 and lay it to grass. I then learnt all about silage and how to turn grass into something that's profitable, because the first time I mowed my grass, I went and sold it and basically lost money. It was a terrible thing to do. So then I learnt that actually if you take grass and dump it in a bunker, it turns into silage and then it's worth a little bit more money. So my first journey into silage production was by clearing this area here. So this is field 30, this sort of area that I'm highlighting with my mouse. It didn't look like this initially. This whole area here was like a small forest. So I spent a lot of time cutting down trees. I learned that wood chips are very manual and aren't really very good. So I basically had huge piles of wood everywhere without really knowing what to do with it. But anyway, I cleared all this wood, and then my first thing that I built was a two-way silo kind of around about here. And that's where I learnt about compacting grass, going up and down on the grass to make it fermenting and all that sort of stuff. And then I learnt about covering the bunker and stuff like that. So that was good, albeit very manual. And if you remember, I don't want to do things manual. I want to automate things. So that's when I learnt about another mod, which is course play. Course play is like auto drive, but designed to manage things happening inside a field. And one of the things that it does very well is what's called silo work. It does the compacting and maneuvering of grass and silage very well. And it also does all of the up and down kind of field stuff. There is a built-in system of the AI helpers, which works quite well, but course play kind of takes that to another level, which has been great. So yeah, so I had a little bunker here. And I had course play set up to kind of cut the grass automatically, dump the grass in the bunker, and then compact the grass and all that sort of stuff. That was all really very good. But then it came time to empty the silage from the bunker. Again, I used course play to have a tractor manually empty the grass and dump it into a trailer. But that didn't work quite so well. I don't know whether it's a very complex thing to automate on a kind of programming level. But the tractor kept getting stuck. It kept driving into the trailer. It kept driving into the sides of the bunker. Silage was going everywhere. It just wasn't good enough to be fully automated. So then I started thinking about a conveyor belt system. I saw conveyors inside the shopping area. And so then I built a series of conveyors all down the side of the bunker to automatically empty the silage and then dump it into a trailer. On paper, that looked great, and my first version of that worked really very well. But when I went to use that to empty silage, it failed miserably. And the reason that it failed is because when you uncover the grass of a bunker, it doesn't uncover the entirety of the bunker. It only uncovers a portion of the bunker. The conveyor for that portion then sprang to life and started emptying the silage correctly, but the bunker doesn't recognize that section of the silage has been emptied, and therefore it doesn't then automatically unfold the next part of the cover. So basically there's a game system, or maybe even a bug, I don't know, where if a bunker is emptied by anything other than a trailer or a bucket, the bunker doesn't automatically uncover itself, so you can get access to the silage. So basically it meant that conveyors wouldn't work for what I was trying to automate. So I kind of rage quit, really. I sold all of my conveyors, and I decided I was never going to do grass again because it just wound me up. But then I realized, you know what, I'm going to need to figure this out because silage is a core component of this farming stuff. So then I decided, okay, well, let's just stick to the course play system. So I built this slightly bigger bunker in the hope that the course play automation would be better. And in its defense, it is. It is a lot better using a bigger bunker than trying to use a smaller bunker. So course play would happily empty this and dump it into a trailer. But it was still a little bit slow, and it still did have a little hiccup every now and then where the tractor got stuck or it drove into the trailer. Or it was enough of a hindrance to not be fully automated. So then I took a look back at the conveyor system, and then I built this little conveyor system. The difference, or the reason it works now, is because once a tractor drives into this bunker, the cover comes off the silage in one go. So that means that when it's ready to harvest, all I need to do is drive the tractor in, which automatically removes all of the cover of the silage, and then this conveyor belt system can empty the entire bunker. So it is, other than the fact I have to drive the tractor in to get it going, it is fully automated. And so now I have course play set up to cut grass, tedder the grass, or is it tedder? I can't remember. The one that puts it all into a pile. Then the forage harvester comes along, dumps it all into this bunker, and it's all lovely and up and running. So this is the auto drive system for it. These are reverse things. So the forage wagon reverses in, dumps the grass. This is where the tractor drives, it reverses in to park the silage trailer. And then when it's time to empty the bunker, all I do is I jump out, run around, turn on that conveyor belt, drive the tractor in to unfold the cover, and then that conveyor belt springs to life and starts filling up the trailers. It works really very well. So then I realized I had silage production automated quite well. So the goal then was just to increase the volume of grass and silage that's being created. So then I bought this field. This is field 31, and it was actually a separate field. There was a tree line and fence going through the middle. I bought the field, flattened the tree line, cut down all the trees, deleted all the fences, and joined it into one. So now I have a larger grass field, and my intention is to next up buy this field and then do the same thing, take all these trees out, take the fence line out, and join this, and then this will be a huge grass field to power this bunker. My other then plan, short term, is to do a similar thing with these fields here, 20, 21, 25, basically buy these progressively and join them together. The reason I'm doing that is because these are all fenced fields. So they have fences around the perimeter, and they have a quite tight gate to get into. Now, fences and tight gates don't work very well with automation and pathing. The vehicles get stuck, they can't make the turn-in circles, etc., etc. So my goal is to basically not fight that. Well, I will fight it. I'll fight it by buying them all, but basically join them up and make them bigger, more manageable fields. So 24, 23, 25, 29, and 28, I'm going to buy those and join them all up. And that will be a huge, probably grass field again, or maybe something else. 20 and 21, I'll join, I'll shape them off. So I'll probably buy 21 and 66 and then cut through there to make it square, and then cut through here to make it square, to make it a bit more manageable. And then 20 I probably won't touch, I'll just leave it as is. So basically, everything that's green on the map up here will ultimately be my grass and silage empire, and that will be fully automated. Right, so that's up and running. Grass and silage is up and running and working quite nicely. I then realized, okay, I cut all these trees down, and I cut all of the trees down in this foresty area here. I had tons and tons and tons of wood, so I needed to figure out what to do with the wood. And if you remember, I said I want my logistics area to be in the middle of the map around here. So then what I thought is, okay, let's buy field 32 because it has a field, but it has this wooded area. And my intention was to buy 32 and cut down all of these woods. And so therefore I would have more wood to do the production chain with, but I would more importantly have an open area to start building my logistics. And so that's quite literally what I did. So now, just to orientate you, this is 30 and 31, and this is where that wood was. So this was all woodland. And so I spent way too much of my real life time cutting down trees, dragging those trees out, and then flattening all this land. I'm working my way through the trees, but there's still a good hefty amount of them laying around. So these are the trees that are surplus from this wooded area. And then in this wooded area, like I said, is my future or current logistics area. So because I had so many trees, the first logical thing to do was to make a sawmill. And so now all of those trees are powering this sawmill. And I created lots of beams and logs and planks or whatever it is, and sold that and made good money. And then the next evolution from that was to build this cooperage, which then takes planks long and planks short to build bathtubs and barrels. So that's up and running, and that's all getting sold automatically. So now this is a very good income stream, and it's fully automated. All I have to do is just put wood or trees at the front of the sawmill, and the sawmill distributes to the cooperage, and then the cooperage automatically sells. So I have a really nice wood production line. My only slight concern is that I am running out of wood gradually. And so I have a kind of idea in the back of my head that at some point I'll cut this field off and make this a long rectangular field, and then turn this into some sort of forestry area where I grow trees more appropriate to be mass cut down and harvested or whatever it's called into the sawmill. I understand that's an option in the game, and you can grow and build like a whole forestry part of your farm. So I'm looking forward to exploring that. That's not imminent, but that will be kind of my mid-game approach, if you like. Then I wanted to start exploring animals. Part of Farming Simulator is not just working fields, but also working animals. So then I did some research, and I learned that the easiest animals to start with, besides chickens, because they don't make much money, is sheep. So I wanted to get into sheep farming, and then the subsequent production chains from sheep, which I'll talk about in a second. So then I basically bought field 69, which is just a kind of a small field. I stuck a sheep pen in it, and then I filled it with sheep. And that happened moderately recently. So we have about 55 sheep or something like that. I got a couple of young ones just to see what they were like, and I like watching them jump around like you just saw. They're just in the field. It's just laid to meadow. I don't add any more food to it. Because I just don't know how to do it, basically. But if I need to put grass or silage in there, maybe I'll figure that out at some point. And obviously these sheep start producing wool, and we've had a little bit produced so far. So it's going to be a good few months before this starts producing a lot of stuff. But I have lots of spare room, so I think I could fit 115 sheep or something in this area. And I have no idea, no understanding at all of how much wool that will create. So that's exciting, that's coming. And so then I thought, okay, well, now I'm producing wool. What do I do with all that wool? And then I built this spinnery. So the spinnery takes wool and turns it into fabric. And then that fabric can then go on to be turned into clothing, or maybe another thing as well, I'm not sure. So now we have the spinnery up and running. It's very early days. I've only put a couple of 1,000 litres of wool in there. Literally this happened in the last episode. So now we'll be making fabric, and then the next thing to build on the back of this will be whatever the next production chain is. I think it is called a tailor's. Yeah, so at some point, I can almost afford it now, but at some point I'll build the next thing in this production chain, and I'll put that next door. And then we have the full kind of full wool production up and running, which will be exciting. And so then wool is kind of done, if you like, in inverted commas. So then my goal after that is to work on the next production chain. I'm probably going to do something with oil, because I understand that handling sunflowers is a nice entry way into learning how to manage fields. So I'll probably do some sort of sunflower field here, and then put that into some sort of oil mill. And then I don't know what to do with oil. I think you can make potato chips or something, but I'll figure that out. So yeah, so we're up and running. We've accumulated a few tools and things as we go. We still only have one tractor, which was the original tractor that I bought. But we have some mowing equipment over there, a couple of mowers, and then the thing that piles it all up. We obviously have the bunker and the conveyor belts and a single trailer. We've got a little buggy. We have the bunker compactor and shield, I think it's called. And then, of course, we have those things that I showed you at the depot or the lay-by. And so my goal now is just to continue automating everything. My premise still stands. I don't want to do any manual farming whatsoever. And so everything I do takes a little bit longer, because I have to learn how to do it to start with, and I have to buy the right equipment. And then normally I then do that thing manually to start with, and then I need to figure out how to do the course play or the auto drive and all that sort of stuff. So it's taken a while. So yeah, so my next plan is to maybe expand into 72 and put that into oil or something like that. I think I'm going to expand down this way to start with and continue growing and building my logistics area. And then obviously, like I say, keep growing and building these grass fields and combining them and all that sort of stuff. So 27 will certainly be next on my target list to combine for more grass. I've also got a crazy idea of buying fields 1, 2, and 3 and combining all of that into a monster, super rectangular field, because that would be so easy to work with harvesters just going up and down and up and down. So I quite like the idea of doing that and making it into a huge oil field or potato field or something, I don't know. It depends on what production chains I do, I guess. All of this will be combined in grass. All of this area will be my kind of warehousing, logistics, operational area. And then all of the other fields I'll just buy and start using based on what production chains I'm creating. So I'm still excited. I'm still enjoying the game. and I'm still looking forward to playing it, and the series will obviously continue. I do still have every intention of owning the entire map and having everything fully automated, and I think I'm getting closer to that goal. It's certainly taking a lot longer than I expected. I still have so much to learn. I don't know anything about other animals. I don't know anything about the complicated crops and harvesting and preparing fields and things. So we've got a long way to go. But long story short, I'm enjoying it and I'm not going anywhere. So it's good fun. I hope that was a good update. If you're new, I hope that gets you up to speed and encourages you to follow along and see what else I get up to. If you have been watching, I hope that was a truthful account of what I've been up to so far. I think it was. So I'm excited to have you aboard. I'm excited to continue playing, and I shall catch you all very soon. Bye-bye for now. Bye.